Hello everybody, welcome to 54 Nights. So we're going to address the age-old question, gas or diesel?
Oh, I thought you meant like beans or broccoli. You said gas.
Oh my gosh. Today's not the day, folks. I'm giving you a heads up right now.
It's kind of scary when I start that.
You know, the one thing that you guys hate to hear, I hate to hear it when I'm researching a topic, but it's a personal decision between a gas RV and a diesel RV. It really boils down to a personal decision. The biggest, the most obvious, the elephant in the room difference.
What you call me? I've been losing weight.
You need more.
Oh.
That's
why you have my right hand up against you, because I can't get you with the strong hand.
The price difference between the two, $100,000 between a gas rig and a diesel rig. It's a lot of money. So the reason it becomes a personal decision, one of the main reasons it becomes a personal decision is,
how much money do you have?
Well, that and
oh, I was wrong.
How much are you willing to spend? Are you willing to shell out that extra $100,000? Is it worth it to you? We know it's worth it to a lot of people on the internet that tell us that this is the only way to go, but I mean, really, is it worth it to you? So we're going to address it as where we're coming from. We have a gas rig and a diesel rig we're looking at side by side, made by the same manufacturer, and we're going to discuss a little bit of what's going into our thinking on it. Maybe it'll lead you down a good path when you're making a decision. But
maybe some stuff you haven't thought of.
Yeah. We're going to start off with just some generic things. Maintenance. Maintenance is more expensive on a diesel rig. How much more? Well, you know, depends on who you ask. You have the old school line of thought, where oil changes are at 3,000 miles, regardless of what the manufacturer recommendations are. If you look at the maintenance schedules for either Ford or Cummins, they're really pretty equivalent,
to each other.
Yeah, and for RVers, it really boils down to every 6 months you do maintenance, because as RVers, the likelihood of us putting a whole lot of miles, enough miles on a rig each year to meet those mileage recommendations is pretty slim, honestly. I mean, most of us, even full-timers, they're not racking up 15,000 miles a year.
That makes sense.
So it really goes back to the every 6 months recommendation. So, and I'm not going to get into whether that's a legit recommendation or whatever. I mean, that's kind of up to you to decide through your research.
Because every one of you is positive you're right, and we're positive we're right. Or maybe we're not.
I'm not so positive, but so that has an impact on how much maintenance costs each year. So when you're looking at the forums or watching videos, that these folks tell you that it's $2,000 to $3,000 a year maintenance on a diesel coach, it could be a little exaggerated depending on from what direction they're coming from. Maybe they can't do their own maintenance, for several reasons. One, ability. I mean, the older I get, the less I'm able to do. That could make a play in it. People that just aren't mechanically inclined, not able to do what some of us shade tree mechanics would think of as basic things. Some people just don't have that mindset. Some people, they're just not mechanically inclined, so they have to take it to a shop. Or if you're full-timing it, you're always in campgrounds, and almost every campground I've ever been in, you know, that's one of their main rules is no working on the camper while you're at our campground. So you kind of have to take it in. And this is where the mechanic comes into play. When a mechanic sees an RV rolling in, the first thing that crosses their mind is, here comes another yard ornament. Because let's face it, that's what most RVs are. They're yard ornaments. And to sit still for several months at a time for, you know, whether it's a Ford pickup or a Class A diesel RV, sitting still for 6 months at a time is not necessarily a good thing on the motor and all the components. They develop issues doing nothing.
So do I.
That explains a lot, folks. That explains a lot.
You're
this
gonna
is
get
a
hurt.
painful,
It's gonna be a
painful video. So anyway, from what I was able to gather up from my research, diesel maintenance is more expensive. It can be 2 to 3 times more annually than what your gas coach is going to be. One of the calculations that I came up with when I was, you know, going to different websites and checking out how much it would cost to get this done and that done, you know, on an annual basis, it could be anywhere between $1,200 and $1,400 annually to get the diesel coach, the maintenance done on the diesel coach. You know, and that includes motor, the system for the suspension, the air ride suspension, and a few other little things, greasing wheels and stuff. So it is more expensive, but it's not as expensive as I first thought looking at the forums. So for me, that was not a determining factor. We've got an oven beeping at us. We'll be back in a minute.
Oh, you noticed?
I mean, bottom line, on annual maintenance, you know, whether it's a gas or a diesel, it can be as much as you want it to be or as little as you want it to be. But
the maintenance?
Yeah, the maintenance,
oh, okay.
The cost of the maintenance. You know, if you're one of those people that believe you should change your oil every 3,000 miles, it is going to be more expensive. So, but it's going to be more expensive on your gas coach also.
Right.
So, there's that. The other kind of generality here is drivability, driving these things. Okay.
We know all about that.
Oh, all about driving.
We've driven how many diesel coaches?
None. Yeah, no, we haven't driven a diesel. But you know, you look on these forums, and you know, it's just pretty much understood, and I believe it wholeheartedly. A diesel rig drives and handles better than a gas rig. I accept that.
Yeah.
They have better brakes. They do have a better braking system. That it's different than what's on your gas F53 chassis. The motors give you better torque to get you up and over those mountains or hills. Even some hills slow down a gas rig, but you have a better. You can more easily maintain speed on a diesel rig because of that torque.
And your gas mileage
it's
a little tiny bit better, right?
Yeah, a little bit better.
Because you maintain the speed
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. It's really, yeah, I was actually surprised. The gas mileage between a diesel and a gas is pretty comparable. I mean, really.
But it holds more.
Yeah, 100-gallon tank.
Mm-hmm.
So the brakes, the torque, and then just the drive. Just cruising down the highway, it handles so much better, from what I understand. And that is because of the suspension. It's got a different suspension on it, and it rides just a lot smoother. Quieter because the motor is in the back of the coach. I mean, that motor is 25-30 feet away from you. Of course it's going to be quieter.
Although they're making some 2021s that they're sticking the motor back up in the front.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on another video. You're trying to mess this one up, aren't you?
You're the one that was singing Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, that got edited out. They don't know that. So, but that motor is still, it's still loud. I mean, we have fired up some diesels, and you can hear that motor, but it's a heck of a lot further away. So, now, you know, the gas, I've driven a gas rig for the last 3 years. As far as braking, I haven't had an issue with braking, with coming to a stop. I have yet to have a moment where I have been like, oh my gosh, I wish I had the stopping power of a diesel. That's just my perspective. And then getting over mountains, I'm an easygoing guy. I'm not racing. I'm not trying to beat that little Miata next to me on the interstate or the highway. I'm looking to get to where I'm going. Really, getting slowed down by a big mountain is not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, and if you know our past history with campers, we used to tow trailers, so
yeah,
we're kind of used to that.
Yeah.
And we did not tow trailers with a big, you know,
big old one-ton dually. We didn't. We had a half-ton pickup or a minivan. Ooh, a minivan. Try putting that on the forums. Woo, you get lit up, baby. But yeah, so since I'm so easygoing and not racing, it's never really bothered me. And then, what was the other one? Oh, just the drivability. Now, I have done a couple of things to this chassis. The cheap handling fix, traction bar, the safety steer, and I am content. That's the best way I can put it. I'm content with the way our gas Class A motorhome drives and handles.
And you know, when we go to compare, when we get to talk about the two that we got down to, when we go to actually drive the diesel, I don't want you to drive the gas version. I want you to just go straight and drive the diesel, because then you could compare the one with the modifications, the gas with the modifications, to the diesel, because you'll be making modifications anyway to the gas. So
yeah, so I mean,
they've made a big difference.
Recognizing that the gas or the diesel is a superior chassis, it's still a draw for me, because I'm content with what we have in a gas chassis. You know, maybe that changes when I drive a diesel. I don't know, but I mean, just right now, that's not a determining factor in which rig I want to purchase. So I guess with those, the maintenance and the driving kind of out of the way, we really get into the core of the decision between gas or diesel. I mean, come on, every time you get on the forums and every time somebody asks a question, somebody on those forums will say, floor plan is king. It doesn't matter what you're looking at, they are going to tell you floor plan is king.
Or queen.
No, it's a patriarchal society on the forums. You just need to face it.
We'll change that.
Yeah, you go ahead and try it. It's been tried. It doesn't work. These people are powerful. All
these
knowing.
kings, yeah.
You know, I'm not going to get into the argument of the floor plan is king cliche that's thrown out there, but for us, we're looking at a Tiffin Allegro Open Road 34 PA and a Tiffin Allegro Red 33 AA.
The PA being the gas and the AA being the diesel.
There you go. They have similar floor plans. They're not the same, but they are very similar. And of course, there's only so much you can do with the rectangle, but
the front half is almost identical.
Yeah. So those are the two rigs we're looking at. For the diesel, the 33 AA, we can get it all electric, which is, man, if we were to assign points to that, it'd bring up those points.
Yeah.
Because while getting propane isn't painful, isn't terrible, it's an inconvenience.
We want to get on the road and get to where we're
going. and sometimes when you get to these pilots or Flying J's that have propane tanks, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, sometimes they have propane, sometimes, well, our guy didn't show up till next Thursday. It's an inconvenience. And so having all electric gets us away from that one item of inconvenience. And every time you can remove a little chunk of inconvenience, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And they add up. Those chunks add up.
They do. They add up quick. So the fact that we can get the 33AA in all electric, very cool. That's a big plus for us.
Not crazy about the stove, but that's okay.
Yeah, I like our gas stove.
Yeah.
But, you know, if I like it that much, I can always, you know, get a grill or something, a gas, something to put outside, and we can run off those little green canisters.
Yeah.
Which is, they're easier to find. Hey, wow, cookies ready. Bye. Okay, they weren't ready. They're still soft. So, we got the all-electric. What was the other thing? More floor space in the living area.
And a recliner.
I don't know why she's so high on that recliner, but...
We're talking about the AA, the diesel, right? Okay.
Yeah.
More tank space.
Was there more tank space?
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't much, but there was more tank space.
Yeah, and we carry more fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of cool, because my kids will tell you,
you don't like to stop.
I don't like to stop.
We're hungry.
Come on, I'm like 90% of dads in America, okay?
That's what's cool about having a coach. You know, if you're trying to decide whether you want a coach or not, you have a refrigerator in there, so if you won't stop, you can still eat.
I don't get hungry. I don't go to the bathroom. It's just...
Yeah, well, we weren't going to tell them that you're a robot.
From point A to point B. My body schedules itself on our journeys. Get over it.
Unfortunately, we're not on the same schedule.
Third thing is you can tow more with the diesel. Now, I'm not talking about the entry-level diesels with the 340 Cummins and the 2500 Allison Tranny. Those things tow as much as a gas rig. This time the cookies are done.
We hope.
We'll be back. Hot. Cookies are hot. So, yeah, towing capacity. You can tow more with the diesel rig. So that would give us the ability to bring along our Indian girlfriend, put her on a hydraulic or electronic lift on the back of the coach.
That would be his motorcycle.
That's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And tow the Subaru as well. So we would have the motorcycle and the Subaru with us, depending on our mood when we woke up in the morning. Which I like. That's kind of the way I actually function in real life. I get up in the morning and it's like, I think I'll ride the bike this morning. So those are really three big things with that diesel, with the 33AA that we like. I don't think there's really anything else that just kind of stands out that we like about that rig. Is it $100,000 difference or worth? Is it worth $100,000? I don't know. So let's move over to the gas, the 34 PA.
You can get a bed.
Overhead bunk.
Overhead bunk.
The overhead
I
bunk.
forget what those are called.
Yeah. It's not the best overhead bunk in the world. Honestly, looking at overhead bunks at different manufacturers, Winnebago has the best. And
Fleetwoods are pretty good, aren't they?
yeah, but Winnebago's, oh my gosh, they are just so smooth. I mean, but
that's because that's what we like to do, is ride up and down on them, just lay on there and have somebody else push the switch, or get a big stick and push the button, and we can both ride up and down. Okay. Not really.
So yeah, the overhead bunk, the big bathroom. The 34 PA has a nice bathroom with the washer dryer in it.
And storage and
yeah, it is nice, and it really it doesn't feel like it takes away from the rest of the living area in the or the sleeping area.
It does, because there's no recliner.
Yeah, it has to, but it doesn't feel like it.
And it's got more prep space, a lot more prep space on the counter.
You keep saying a lot more. I don't know that it has a lot more.
It does. Because it's like ours, and there's like nothing on the AA.
Yeah. I'm just going to have to believe her. What was one of the other things? Oh, the bay storage. There's like a huge difference on the bay storage, square footage of the bay storage. You know, the red has the one big bay, and it is a very large bay, and it is full height pass-through storage that is really nice. Of course, you move over to the gas rig, the PA, it has, you know, the gas equivalent of pass-through storage, which really, you know, there's like a 6 or 8 inch window going over the frame rails that, you know, goes to the other side. It is pass-through, but it's not, you know. But it has so many more bays in it, usable storage bays in it. And, you know, I'll put the numbers at the bottom of the screen, but it seems like it was like 204 square foot of storage on the PA versus 80 something square foot of storage on the AA.
It was huge.
That's a big difference.
I triple checked that because I kept thinking I was reading that wrong, and this was on the manufacturer's website.
Yeah, and that's a significant difference, especially if you're considering going full time in one of these rigs.
Yeah.
So.
And we are.
Yeah, and which is what we're doing. So, you know, that's what we're left with, you know, those big 3 items that we like on each rig. Now, when you compare them side by side, and honestly,
well, you said something about assigning points.
Yeah,
and that makes a difference.
And that is actually something that we did when we were originally shopping for a Class A motorhome. Every motorhome we looked at, we assigned, you know, values to each thing that we liked in them, and we looked at the grand. It was a geeky thing to do. I know, I get it. I'm a QA guy, so stats is something that I deal with every day. So I went all QA nerd all over it, and we actually assigned point values to every rig that we looked at. Then it helped us determine which ones we liked the most. It really did.
And really which ones to cut off the list.
So we may have to sit down and do that between these two rigs, if it comes down to these two rigs, because really where my mind is, and I'm not sure where her mind is at, but where my mind is at right now, the only difference between the two coaches for me is $100,000. Because if I drove either one of those coaches off the lot today, I'd be happy with my decision.
You wouldn't say, wow, I wish we could take the motorcycle and the Subaru? I mean, it seems to me like that's the one thing that you would say, wow, I wish.
But I don't know that it would, I mean, because the way we're looking at traveling full time is it's not going to be full time, it's going to be a most of the time situation. So we're going to be back to home base every couple of months or however often. So then we just make a decision when we come back. Do we pull the bike or do we pull the Subaru? You know?
If it's pouring down rain.
I'm riding the rain all the time. I don't know what your problem is. So, okay, maybe that would push lean a little bit closer to the diesel.
And our son would like to go with this.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't talk to us anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, honestly, it's kind of a even thing in my mind. It really is, because I'm an adaptable type of person, I guess, but you know, it's the $100,000. And that, you know, for a lot of folks, that $100,000 ranks very high on the list of considerations. I mean, very, very high on the list.
But when you trade it in, you will probably get better. Your value will hold. Well, that's for sure. I mean, to some degree, the value will hold better when you trade a diesel in. So that takes away some of the price difference.
Yeah. But we have never bought a vehicle
with the trade-in thought.
With the thought of what we could get with the trade-in, because historically for us, not so much with this Fleetwood right here we're sitting in, historically for us it's just by the time we got rid of them, the duct tape and baling wire wouldn't hold them together anymore.
Mm-hmm. Cars too.
Yeah, vehicles in particular, it's just, we keep them forever. But yeah, I mean, that is a consideration. So, I mean, bottom line is, where we're at right now, we don't know.
I'm 50-50.
Yeah.
Right down the middle.
And really, that's where I'm at right now too. You know, the price difference may be the deciding factor in the end. I don't know, because we're still a few months away from buying it. And, you know, you talk about that $100,000, and you talk about, you know, buying an RV is not an investment, a monetary investment. It is not a financial investment. As a matter of fact, Dave Ramsey would probably have a mild heart attack if he watched you go spend money on an RV, even paying cash for an RV. He would be clutching his chest.
Maybe he wouldn't watch our videos anyway.
No.
Because they're about RVs.
Yeah. But it is an investment in the soul.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Your memories, yeah.
So, I mean, that is where we're at today. Deciding between those two, we still got some time before we have to decide.
Which is really good, because we're not there yet.
No, we're not. But I think we are at a point now, both of us are at that point now, where whichever one we left the lot with, that's the one we liked.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. That's just us though. We always look at the good. We will sit there and say, wow, it's good that we got this one because now we can put all this stuff in the bay doors. And if we got the other one, it would be like, wow, it's good we got this one because we use the recliner all the time. I mean, that's just how we are.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're make good campers, is because we see the good in everything and every trip, and we take things in stride.
But I guess, folks, that's, sorry we let you into our heads like that. And
Scary.
go have a drink, sit down.
Maybe we should told you to get a drink before you watch this.
That's where we're at, and maybe some of our random bouncing around thoughts can
trigger one of your thoughts.
Help you out in your decision making. But and with any kind of luck, there'll be people down below in the comments section telling us what kind of idiots we are and we're totally wrong about this or that.
With any kind of luck?
With any kind of luck, because that would be awesome. Because that would actually feed into our decision-making process.
Yeah, if we really don't like you, then we'll get the other one.
She said it, folks. Anyway.
We're going to eat our cookies.
Hope this was helpful. I've got 2 cookies in my lap.
I'm sorry I've been snacking on them. They're just nice and warm and gooey and good. So go get a cookie.
Have a cookie, folks. We'll catch y'all down the trail.
Bye-bye.